So it was really good we took a tea break because we're now going to go into the section of listening skills and the art of listening. So it's good that hopefully we're going to listen now and you've had a break to get into the space. And the reason why we decided to bring in listening and the art of listening is because really it's the themes that Joyce and Christine have been talking about today around trust and connection. Listening is a part of that, and especially for leadership. So that's why we've included it today. And also, I think listening has become really a lost skill because we're bombarded daily with information. A lot of that information is short-paced videos. It's short bursts of videos, so we get distracted. So it's difficult to be present and to pay attention when listening. So we thought it's important to talk about how to become an active listener and why that's important for you as leaders. And then once we've spoken about that, we're going to do an exercise. And it's actually a really great exercise, and it's a way of really understanding what that means to be an active listener. So listening is really, we talk about, it's a skill that is a mindful practice of paying attention. And when I say mindful practice, it is like mindfulness, like when you meditate, you keep bringing yourself back to the present moment. And it's a mindful practice because often when someone is speaking, and I know we all do this, and it's quite natural, when someone is speaking to us, our thoughts start going somewhere else. So we're not really paying attention, and that's completely natural. So it's so important to actually notice when those thoughts appear, when someone's speaking to you, notice when you're thinking about something else, and then bringing yourself back to the present moment. So it's a mindful practice of just being fully present. So why is it important? Once again, it's the whole theme around trust and connection, and especially in leadership where, well, maybe I could ask you, why do you think it's important as a leader to listen? And we just can get two or three answers if anybody would like to. I mean, I've got the answers up here already, but in your own words, why do you think it's important to listen as a leader? Anybody like to?
To get understanding of a communication being made to you.
And why is that important to make sure there's an understanding?
So that you're able to respond appropriately.
Okay. Anybody else? Victoria?
Heard without being judged. For me, it's the best thing.
Absolutely. It's so important, that point you make about seeing and heard. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much. So it's really to be able to be empathetic in your listening for teams' morale, problem solving, overall success, and as we said, especially with leadership, and where understanding, as you say, Victoria, is key, and to feel valued and heard. And in fact, Joyce spoke about in her presentation earlier about creating a culture of being heard and valued, actually. So it ties in with what you say, Victoria, is how important to create that culture of being valued and heard, and that's part of why listening is important. Foster stronger connection. Once again, the theme of connection. Trust, again. Trust, rapport, once again, resolves conflicts, problem solves, and models positive behavior. So Stephen Covey wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and the habit number 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. So he describes active listening as reflecting what a person feels and says in your own words to their satisfaction, so they feel listened to and understood. So it means listening with your whole being. So it's not just listening through your ears, your eyes, body language, eyes, and your heart. So bringing your heart into it as well. And then Simon Sinek is he's a speaker on business leadership, and he defines listening as, it's not the act of hearing the words spoken, it is the art of understanding the meaning behind the words. So what does that mean? When you want to understand the meaning, what does that actually mean to you? When I say that, how does that land for you? Why is it important to get the meaning behind the words? So I think it's really just to be able to go into a deeper level, to create a stronger connection, to go deeper, so not just surface level, to be able to understand, is this what you mean? Can you explain that to me, or ask questions around what exactly do you mean by that? So the meaning of what is behind the words. So listening is an active, non-competitive, two-way interactions, and how often I do it a lot. And when someone is speaking to me about something, and in my mind I'm thinking, how am I going to respond? And it becomes this competitive thing. So I think, well, I am going to respond with something better, you know. And so it's being able to once again just be present, non-competitive, and open. So how do we become an active listener? So by paying attention. So that means getting rid of physical distractions. So your phones, your laptops, but also that internal distraction of how am I going to respond? So listening without an agenda, just listen. Don't think about how you're going to respond. Just be present without agenda. Another important thing is show that you're listening. So what I'm talking about is non-verbal cues, body language. So eye contact is quite important. Smiling. You could also lean a little bit forward. So your open stance, posture, that shows that you're listening. And one of the most important thing is the feedback. So to reflect back, and this is what we're going to do in the exercise, reflect back what you heard. So you could say something like, what I'm hearing you saying is, and that's reflecting back the words that the speaker is saying, sounds like you are saying. So these are great ways to reflect the message. And once again, that goes to Victoria's point about being seen and heard. Because when you reflect back, it sends a message, it signals to the speaker that you are really making an effort to understand what the person is saying. So asking questions to clarify. So open-ended questions like what, where, when, how. What did that mean to you? What do you mean by that? How did that make you feel? When you ask those questions, you go deeper into the meaning behind the words, as Simon Sinek says. So it signals to the speaker that not only have you heard, but you've understood it enough to want more information. So the speakers feel supported, seen, and heard. So I'm going to go to this example first. So let's have an example. So say, for example, a colleague or a staff member comes to you and says, I'm really worried. I'm worried about my presentation at the meeting. Now, often we try and reassure. I know as a parent, if my child comes to me and says, I'm very worried about something or they're anxious about something, my immediate reaction, my instinct is to reassure them and say, don't worry, you'll be fine. It's the same with this. So sometimes you might naturally reassure and say something, oh, you're going to be great, don't worry. It took me years before I could present without being nervous. But when you do that, you're actually almost dismissing what they're feeling, because number one, you're not putting the focus on yourself, not the speaker. And also, while you're attempting to make a connection, it actually doesn't invite further detail. And so it might ignore an important issue underlying that statement and switches the focus to you. So now, to listen in a deeper, more meaningful way, you could say something like, I was nervous when I started presenting too. Open-ended question. What is worrying you? So can you see the difference? That question, what is worrying you? So when someone asks you that, how does it make you feel? How do you think it would make you feel if someone said, what is worrying you? How would that feel in your body? How would that feel? How would that make you feel? Sorry? Yes, interested, and yeah. And that allows for a deeper, you could go into a deeper conversation. So what is worrying you? Well, this is what's worrying me, and how did that make you feel? Or so it creates a deeper connection and a stronger connection if you ask questions. And it also, does anybody else want to comment on what a difference that makes when we ask questions?
I think one of the values of asking that type of open-ended question is it's also trying to avoid making assumptions about what the person means when they've said their statement. So to me, in the first part, what I'm reading is the person's assuming that they're simply just feeling nerves and they need reassurance, whereas they might be more to what's going on, and asking that open question allows them to explore and be open and willing to share more, and maybe they wouldn't have if you hadn't asked that question.
Exactly. And what does that lead to? What does that eventually lead to?
Yeah, well, I think ultimately it leads to that understanding of the person. And so it goes back to that point that understanding is very essential to really listening, because that person can now explain, you know, what's really going on, and can potentially lead to some kind of resolution or not, but at least
Conflict
it's
resolution.
led to a chance to better understand each other. Yeah.
And a deeper connection. Great. All right, so I didn't want to get into too much because there's a lot of content that you've taken on yesterday and today, so I didn't want to go into a lot of the theory and just wanted to keep it simple. But just to summarize, I wanted to go back to this one. So the other way to be an active listener is to defer judgment. So listen purely for comprehension without judgment, agenda, or distraction. So interrupting, and I know that's something that I've had to work on a lot, is when someone is speaking, we often interrupt because we want to say we want to have our point come across. But it's so important to wait for the speaker to finish their point and then ask a question or say your point. So being the ability to just wait, just pause, just wait, let them finish, and then say what you want like to say. So avoid forming a counter-argument or judgment while the other person is speaking. It involves understanding the speaker's perspective, even if you disagree. So really just to summarize before we go into the exercise, really just main 4 points. Avoid distractions. So that means physical, phones, internal distraction, the internal dialogue of how am I going to respond, deferring judgment, allow the speaker to finish before you ask. Most important, and this is what we're going to do in the exercise, is reflect back what you heard. So what I'm hearing you say is, am I correct in saying, is this what you mean? So the reflecting back so that you make sure you understand what is being said. And the last one is try, if you can. I mean, there's a lot to think about. But just try and bring yourself back. Think of that mindful practice. Think of the mindful practice. That notice those thoughts. And this is a lot of what we do in the coaching, is around noticing what you're doing in the moment. Because when you notice what you're doing in the moment and become aware of what you're doing in the moment, that's how you make a choice, right? You make a choice to do something different. So it's the same with listening. Notice when your mind starts wandering. Notice that, and then mindfully bring yourself back to the present moment so you can focus on the speaker. So keep it simple, but just think of that. I would think of two things: mindful and reflecting back. Okay, does that make sense? Would anybody like to comment before we go on to the actual exercise? Because what we're going to do now is, what Christine will explain to you, we're going to go into pairs. And we're going to practice this now. And then once we finish the exercise, I think what the most important part of this is to reflect how you felt, both as the speaker and as the listener. And that will sort of land for you more of how important is these points that I've been referring to. So before we go on to the exercise, would anybody else like to comment or questions or reflections? Okay, so I think I'm going to hand over to the fun part. Now we're going to do the fun part. Let's rather just do the fun part. All right, so... sorry. Fun part is better part. I'm trying to, there we go. Okay, so... Do you want to, we're going to do the same question. What challenges are you facing right now? Okay. Okay. Here we go.
So let me show you. Can I borrow your seat? So find a partner and make sure you're seated facing each other like this. So find space. Actually, first, find a partner and find space. Peter, you can be the first one here. Find a partner. You need space. You need privacy and space. So, sorry? You need to find a partner. You find your partner and bring them here. Please find a different partner than your neighbor. Come on, guys. Stand up, stand up, stand up. No. Stand up. Find a different partner than your neighbor. Get on. Stand up, move from a different table, from a different organization. Yeah. So not same organization, different table. Get up and find somebody different. Different organization, different table. And move your chairs so that there is space. Different country. Even different country. And then sit, put your chairs together. There's a chair. He's hunting. You can sit there. You can sit there. Oh, here. Sit there. Who's your partner? Sit there.
Let me bring for you another chair.
Good.
Let me bring another chair.
So does everybody have a partner? Let me see how you're seated.
Has everyone got a partner?
I think you need to... Do you mind moving this way a bit? Here? Like here. So that I move those people. Sit like this so that... Great. Then these... Maybe move here. So that you have some space. Emmy, you're not seated. How you're supposed to be seated? Hold before you sit. Hold. Stand. Sorry. Please stand up and look at how you're seated and make sure you're seated like that. That's okay. That's okay. Sam, you've been here before. Emmy. Yes. And maybe move to where the water is so that you have space. Nice. I need you in the practice. Yeah. You have to benefit from being in this room. All right? Great. Now, as comfortable as you can, get your chairs closer. Great. As comfortable as you can. Make sure you're facing each other. Eye to eye. Are you listening? Your first practice. Yes, I'm looking for you. Partner with him. Your first practice is to listen to the instructions, which means you zip until it's time to speak, okay? So, you've just had the nice presentation from Jules on how you listen, all right? So we're now going to practice it. One person will speak, and when the other person is speaking, all of you do this. Do what I've just done. Which means you zip. One person speaks, when the other person is speaking, you zip, all right? And all you'll be doing is listening. After they finish speaking, Jules said something very important. You will respond by saying, this is what I heard you say. All right? Don't bother writing, just believe that you'll hear and you'll reflect. So one person will speak for 4 minutes, and then the other one is zipped for those 4 minutes. When those 4 minutes are finished, the other person will say, this is what I heard you say. All right? And then when she finishes telling you what, or he, then you can respond and say, yeah, this is, yeah, you're right, or God, you got it all wrong. But wow, you got it right. But only one person will be speaking at a time. All right? And don't worry, I'll give the instructions every time. I'll keep repeating as we go along. So the first person is the one speaking, and the other person is doing what? Zipping, listening. Yeah, so that you can hear, you can respond, this is what I heard you say. All right? The first assignment, choose the first speaker. Done. It should be a quick thing, all right? So the first speaker who is speaking, yeah. So everybody has gotten your first speaker? This is the topic of the first speaker. And this is a topic we're all going to talk about. You're going to tell the other person, the most difficult thing I'm going through right now is ... Remember, be spontaneous, be open, speak from the heart, and listen from the heart. All right? You're going to speak for 4 minutes. After 4 minutes, I'll ring the bell. You must speak all through the 4 minutes. Don't say, I've finished, now let's start talking. Until the bell rings, you must be yapping. And the other person must be zipped. All right? Are we ready? Go. Oh, there. Don't put the timer on. Don't put the timer on. I have the timer. I'll ring the bell, yeah, because that stresses people. So, anything else difficult thing you're going through? I remember how the journaling. You never know. There's nothing you like somebody. No, of course I love it. just because it's the same thing I do. What was it like to listen, to be listened to speak? Sorry?
It's quite a concentrate the body. So reflect, how did you feel in your body when you
Yeah.
felt someone was listening? I think you're feeling valued and understood.
Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. So, great. You did finish the 4 minutes. Even those who are feeling it was very long. So well done for zipping. I was watching that you really listened. So we're going to turn tables. The one who was speaking keeps quiet. The one who was listening says, "This is what I heard you say." And you'll do it for 2 minutes. The other person just zips and just listen to, "This is what I heard you say." You can gesture, just don't talk. Gesture, nod. You can gesture, just don't speak. All right? 2 minutes. Let's go. 4 minutes. You can't look at me. You have to, when you're given the minute, you have to finish the minute. All right? Okay. The reason is the more you speak, the more depth you get. Okay? Yeah, so practice finishing your minutes completely. All right? So now we're going to reverse roles. The one who didn't speak, the one who spoke first, zips, and the one who didn't speak, the one who was listening, thinking, I'm not going to share, it is your turn. These things are being asked such deep questions. It is your turn. So 4 minutes, and the question is, the most difficult thing I'm going through is ... Please make sure you spend all your 4 minutes. All right? So
Switch.
But as you know, I think my role is kind of I say this to reference the fact that the most difficult aspect times dismissals stuff. Not difficult because it's a conflict of a particular problem, but difficult because being attached. I empathize with them. I understand them and I do my best to communicate and make those transitions. Questions and so what happened in this particular case most recently was that we had 2 staff members another one was their assistant person. We felt that their positions were being phased out and gave them some really advanced notice because what our organization tend to be running. So I think
the magic question, the magic statement. This is what I heard you say. You have 2 minutes to it. Please spend all the 2 minutes. Okay? The other person, please zip. You can nod, you can do gestures, but zip. Let's go. Give your neighbor a hug. Tell them thank you for being my listening partner. And then come back to your seats. Then go back to your seats. How old are they?
Right. Good. I can see a lot of smiles and laughing, and that's good. All right, we just got to spend about 10 minutes reflecting back on this exercise. And the most important is to reflect what it was like as the speaker. So the impact of having your words understood and reflected back. Can someone tell me what was that like when someone reflected, when the listener reflected back to you what they heard? What was the impact on you? Eunice?
I think as my colleague was telling me about a difficult situation, I was able to reflect, trying to think deep and analyzing the situation. And at the end of it all, I was able to provide that feedback according to the statement. And it is a great learning to me because I'm type 3, and my challenge is that when I'm discussing with a person, I don't pay that patience always. You find me interrupting, trying to, not waiting for the person to complete the statement. So, but through this, I've learned that if you sit, listen, and pay that attention, you are able to get everything that the person is saying. That is a great
awesome. That's fantastic. Well, yeah, that's an amazing reflection. Thank you. Clap. Yeah. That's so understanding that it sounds like what you're saying is that you were able to be present, more present, so that yes, in the moment. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else like to talk about the impact either as the listener or the speaker? So, and also maybe what challenges as the listener did you find? Were there any challenges that came up for you while you were listening for those 4 minutes? Did something, what was the challenge for you?
So for the first part of your question about what it was like as the speaker to be heard,
Yes.
because I had a very wonderful listener in my pair, I think listening is something that I always value a lot, listening and understanding. And so knowing this was an exercise, of course you go in being understanding regardless of what happens, whether the person listens well or not. But I think it's very reassuring, comforting when someone listens to what you have to say, and then they demonstrate that they are able to listen and understand you well. Also, in some ways, it makes you feel like you've communicated yourself fairly well. And then on the side of the challenges, for myself, I found that as the listener, I don't want to say my interest was to impose, but I think there are times where you would have asked clarifying questions, and not being able to have clarifying questions for the exercise was a bit of a challenge when you maybe didn't hear something. And you're saying, well, now, is that going to make it difficult to follow the rest of the conversation without being able to ask that? So.
Sure, thank you. I just wanted to ask you, when you explained how it felt as the speaker being listened to, how did that feel in your body?
I think you feel a bit relaxed, maybe, that you don't have to go and repeat and clarify again. You feel, you can be at ease because this person has really listened well and understood what you're trying to say. And maybe sometimes when people feel they're not being understood, they get defensive and it tightens them up and they have to keep clarifying, or they get defeated and they give up. But I felt like put me at ease, knowing that the person understood and we could carry on from there.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for that.
I think that's a very good reflection. And when you said I couldn't ask clarifying questions, remember to be very careful. And as coaches, you're told you need to get out of the way to be able to allow the other person to be. So when I want to ask clarifying questions, it becomes about me, that I'm the one who wants to understand rather than about the other person. And many times we speak, you see, and just using that, and I'm saying this respectfully, just as an offer, that's what we do. When Jules gave that example of, I'm having such a difficult thing with this project, and you can ask a question of, okay, so I also had the same problem, rather than what about it is difficult for you. So when you're listening, you want to hear from their point of view. This is what I hear you say. And you can ask clarify. I'm not saying you can't ask clarify questions, but be careful it doesn't become about you. Because I'm the one who want to understand, I want to give you advice. People don't want your advice. Most times the advice comes from you just allowing somebody to rant, talk, and the responses and the answers will come from them. So my offer is sometimes be very careful. It's not about you. It's about creating space for the other and allowing that person to really speak out and get it out. And there'll be places where you do need clarifying questions, if you have meetings, if you have suggestions. But in this exercise is making sure that you're listening to them and paying attention to them and focusing to what really matters to this person. It's a very different way of hearing and listening. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Christine.
When I was speaking, I was also looking at the body movements of my listener, the facial expressions, and this gave even more, I would say, courage to being more open to her, because I could see her like nodding her head, really very attentive, and so it gave me that courage that let me be more open to her about my experience, my story. So, yeah.
That goes to what I was talking about earlier, the non-verbal cues, the body language of being the nodding and the eye contact, and what the impact that had on you. So an important point. Thank you.
Yeah, so my reflection on listening is it requires us to be patient. Yeah, at some point I thought 4 minutes are gonna be long and I might be lost in the way. And like Joseph, I think, yeah, I almost wanted to ask for clarity, but as I continued listening to my partner, what I wanted to ask, he just automatically clarified it as he was narrating. So at some point, it just needs us to be patient and listen all throughout. Maybe what you might be curious of wanting to clarify, you just come out automatically as the person is continue to narrating.
Anybody else like to?
Yes.
Amy.
Yeah, thank you very much. My partner is a very good storyteller. When I was listening to her, she told me so many things that were going on, happening. And listening to what she was saying, I was actually feeling empathy because of the challenges, stress going through. And when I was providing the feedback, because she told me a lot of things, I couldn't remember all because there was a lot of information. But again, I was able to summarize what I heard from her, which actually she confirmed a summary as well. And then when I was speaking with her, I was able to tell her all these issues which is going through. But one thing I've noticed is that I think it needs some kind of practice because sometimes it can become intimidating. Someone is looking at you, not speaking, attentive, So it's something that I feel there could be some tool to help us have a better listening without fear and without pressure about what people are saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It takes practice. It really does take practice. And what Elizabeth was saying is that you want to, in the middle, you want to ask those questions. And I actually, when I have a daughter and she loves to tell me everything, she's a little bit anxious and she tells me all her anxieties. And I literally, go like, not in front of her, but I go like this and I just listen. And I just, because that's what she wants. She just wants me to be present. It's just about being present. And it takes practice, yeah. All right, I think we've got a couple of minutes left before purity. Yeah, you got one. Thanks, Mary.
Yeah, thank you. Also, when I met my partner, I was very happy. Simply, I found the place, it was a safe space. It is different from this area. It's another planet where I can disclose each and everything which have challenging in my life. Then I feel very proud to have the safe space, and with that, my colleague. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mary. So, if anyone else wants to give any other feedback, I just wanted to summarize. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I noticed the difference between the first time frame when we are given 4 minutes, 2 minutes, and then the second phase, 4 minutes, 2 minutes. So the first phase, the 4 minutes were a lot, and the 2 minutes also a lot because we were trying to bond and build trust. But in the second phase, so the 2 minutes were very short and the 4 minutes were very short because of the listening and actively paying attention. We built bond and trust. So I just noticed the difference between time frames on the phase 1 and the phase 2.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Kandi?
So I'm wondering, how can we balance active listening with note-taking? Because the end goal is that this person has entrusted you, and you have to provide feedback or advices or recommendations. So I have to really pay attention and look at the person, but I also need to take some notes so that I refer to them to provide feedback. So how can I balance this?
Yeah. So I think obviously every situation is different. If you're in a meeting and you need to take points down, that's also another form of showing that you're listening. That's almost like a body language showing, oh, this person's taking notes. So there's nothing wrong with that because you can't remember everything. So I think every situation is different. But your example of in a meeting, I think it's fine to be able to take some notes down, but still to try and remember to do the mindful, go back to the listening and the eye contact. So it's just being aware of that. Does that? Yes, thank you, Sarah.
I think in the case of a colleague, if a colleague is coming to talk to you and it's something that's challenging for them and personal, the best thing for them would probably be that you just listen. You know, you don't really have to write notes about that. And if you are writing notes about something personal, that might also create a lack of trust from them, thinking, well, who else might see what's being written down? So sometimes just giving 4 minutes to your colleague, just try it. See if it works or if it doesn't work for you. And you know, we don't always have to be writing notes. We can just listen to other human beings and see what happens.
Yeah, So just confirming, I suppose it depends on the situation. I mean, if it's a meeting about a project and there's certain things that one has to remember, like a certain date, then that's fine. But if it's a colleague, like Sarah says, who's coming to talk to you about a difficult situation, then note-taking is, then it's just being about present in that moment. Okay, so before we go into purity, I just wanted to just summarize. So this is really, really a thing about, it's not just about hearing, but understanding. How important the role of nonverbal cues are in active listening, and how active listening, as you've experienced in this exercise, can change the dynamic of a conversation. And then lastly, yeah, I think that's it really. Those are the 3 summary points that I wanted to make on that. And thank you for being so enthusiastic. And I hope there's some really good reflections. And thank you very much, everyone. Great. And I'll hand over back to Christine.
Of course, I want an exciting clap. Yes, Glammy.
Yes. So 1, 2. Okay. 1, 2, and then the 0. 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get it? Okay. So 2 first. 1, the 0. 1.
Purity, are you ready? So, as Purity is coming, remember you're getting different tools, and you don't have to use them like scripturally. Take the principle. 4-minute listening is what you're being asked to do. How you do it in different places will be different, but are you listening is the point.